Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Zoom, Empowering Parents to Think Fast. First of all, we have a little few things that we want to go over. So please mute your phones, and if you want to speak, then unmute it. But so that's so people don't hear what's going on in the background at your homes or wherever you're at. This is actually our third parent empowerment program to think fast as it relates to COVID-19, the flu virus, and other virus. We decided to have a Zoom, and the reason why, because we want to accommodate the parents that have children and unable to do the workshop face-to-face. I want to introduce myself and my co-host. My name is Gayla Lee Chambers, and this is my co-host, Yvonne Cherry. And we are going to have a discussion on what you think about as it relates to COVID-19. Our last two workshops were very informative. We had Dr. Richard Brown there, and he was an expert. In addition, we had our former Senator Ernie Chambers there. But now we need to hear more from the community about what you think about getting vaccinated. What do you think about the booster? What do you think about COVID-19 just in general? The flu is here. Now we have another virus that are affecting our children as well as adults called the RSV. Yes. Oh my goodness. And I just heard last night on CNN, they have no vaccine for that. So that's troubling. So we're going to have an open discussion because we want to hear from you. We want to know how you feel about all of this and what we can do to improve our community, our neighborhood, and our city and state. As you guys might know, or you might not know, in North Omaha, 68111 is the highest unvaccinated zip code. So we need to know why and ways that we can do to educate people and to address the fears that are out there in regards to COVID-19. Now, our discussion, I want everybody to be courteous because there's no right or wrong answer in a discussion, okay? So even if you might not agree or disagree with someone, be courteous to them because these are their thoughts and their feelings in regards. They might have been through COVID-19 themselves. They might have had loved ones that have went through it, friends, neighbor. And right now we're still in a pandemic. So this is a very sensitive topic. So please be very courteous. Right now, we're going to listen to some very short videos that are created by our sponsors, with this United Healthcare and University Medical Center. And so we want you guys to look at these videos that we have because they're real people like you and I. And they're going to talk about their feelings about the COVID-19 and the flu. And then we'll come back and we will start this conversation with you guys. So with our tech people, can we start some of these videos?
We have some great doctors, we have some great physicians and research that has showed us, hey, we can get through this, but we get through it together. Typically, when vaccinations is brought up, I would advocate, I always forthright and tell them, hey, I'm vaccinated, I'm heavily boosted, not only to protect my kids and my wife, but to protect the kids in the club. These kids that we serve right now, they've gone through some things that I've never went through in my generation at their age, right? And they've made it successfully through it. There's a lot of opportunities out here for our kids. And because of the vaccines and the safety we have, it's allowing for us to see smiles in the club. It's allowing for us to share memories in our communities together. So when you mix grit with resilience, with opportunities, you have greatness, you have success. These kids can live their life uninterrupted.
Oh gosh, this is crazy. I don't
To be one of the
think
first people to get that
I
shot
did.
is something that I'll forever be grateful for. So Hank was in the NICU for a couple of weeks and was having some breathing issues. So we did have to isolate for quite a long time. It was difficult for us to feel comfortable letting family and friends around him just because he was so vulnerable and the vaccines weren't out. Getting vaccinated means being able to send my kids to school every day without that extra worry. It gives me hope that they'll be able to enjoy normal lives. I think if I can help other mothers take a little bit of worry off their shoulders by vaccinating my family, then I'm happy to do that. I'm Molly Polfall. I'm a public health worker as well as a mother, and I believe that getting vaccinated will help us live life uninterrupted.
I was seeing somebody's face at first. What was this?
Everything comes into making sure that I need to do what I need to do to be able to see my family, see my friends, see my son. Getting vaccinated is very important to me, especially to my job and to my family. I work with seniors. So when the shots first came out, residents were scared. So, my job was like, we would like for you to get it because that's just one step closer to us to be together. Just being able to get the shots and being around the residents meant a lot to me, especially because I love interacting with my residents. So knowing that I got the shot to protect them and they got the shot to protect me was good for us. Because of the shots, I feel like we can do more. Now I can, when my son comes home, I can celebrate him coming home. I feel like now that we're getting vaccinated, that there's something to look forward to.
It's literally nothing churches have had to deal with in 100 years. As a congregation, we've had vaccination clinics here at the church. At times, it's going against the wave, especially in the African American community. One of the major things that gave me a sense of security is that we have people of color doing the science. That was part of what allowed me to be able to have confidence in it and our community as well. Living life uninterrupted means a return to a level of normalcy where, as a congregation, we're able to come back and fellowship and reestablish the relationships that we've had in our congregation for 100 years. See the faces of those who were separated for so long, no longer interrupted by restrictions and things of that nature. It's exciting to me.
The end of October, beginning of November 2020, our family came down with COVID. We tested positive 2 days before Halloween happened. With myself being a formulation scientist, also my husband works in the health department. We always try to be very open and honest with our daughter about why something can happen, trying to give her as much as an in-depth explanation as a 5-year-old can handle what COVID is. She took it hard, but she also understood because we could be affecting others and getting them sick. Me, my husband, and both of my daughters are vaccinated for COVID. We don't just do it for us, we also do it so they can go see grandma and grandpa, so we can spend time with cousins. Living life uninterrupted to me means just being able to do day-to-day activities without having to hesitate as to whether or not your children are going to be safe. Also knowing that you yourself are doing what you can to protect others around you.
The things that were missing out of my life was contact with my family. Back in October of 2020, I came down with COVID. For the next 15 days, I was on the ventilator. It was so demanding on my wife and daughter. My wife was ill at the same time. Our 14-year-old daughter never got infected, so she had to take care of mom. Not only was I missing Thanksgiving, I wasn't there to take this burden away from them. When the vaccine became available, we talked about it, and of course we're going to have a vaccine. Why would we want to expose anyone of our family or myself to this again? I think the vaccine is an important part of the toolkit that a person should have in order to have good health. For us, it was a no-brainer. It lived my life uninterrupted with my wife and my daughter on a daily basis.
You tell me questions you got.
We had the babies the day the world shut down. And then 2 days later, the NICU shut down. So my mom was able to see the babies the day after we had them, but then after that, they weren't letting guests in. Now that they are vaccinated and the kids are going to daycare and they're meeting friends. And so I think when they first talked about the vaccine, it's like we couldn't wait. I mean, we were glad to get ours, but we couldn't wait for them to get theirs.
We were able to take them on their first plane ride. We went to Disneyland. Just being able to let them start exploring and seeing, what this world is.
My philosophy is, you got to do what's best for your family. I didn't understand all of it, but I trusted the medical team enough to say, okay, if you think it's going to make my child feel better, then that's what I want to do. And the second thing is, because of our faith and how we feel, we are part of a community. It's about caring for your neighbor.
Now that people are getting vaccinated, can be more open with, going to church to worship, just seeing the world again.
One of the reasons that I wanted to get vaccinated and make sure that I stay up to date is honing in on making sure that we can live our lives uninterrupted, that we can worship, that we can shop, and for me as a superintendent, go to school, which is to me the most important thing. We worked very closely as a school district with the health department to dispel myths and to make sure that there were as little barriers as possible. We are a part of educating folks. We do little people all the way to big people, but sometimes we have to do even more that is required and outside of the scope of what we do K-12 to make sure our community is safe. Having the vaccinations available is going to be really important, and taking advantage of the opportunity to get a vaccine and wherever you want to, pretty much whenever you want to, at no cost, is really a wonderful thing for our community.
Thank you. We're back. I hope everyone enjoyed those videos, and you probably recognize some of the people in the videos because they're majority of them are right here in Omaha, Nebraska. I want to say, and I forgot to say at the beginning, me and Yvonne, we are vaccinated and boosted, and we did take a home test to make sure that we are safe. And that's why we don't have our mask on right now. So I want that to be very important that I share that with you. So Yvonne, you want to ask us some questions. You want to ask our audience some questions, about COVID-19, the flu virus, or other viruses. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Yvonne Cherry. My heart is with giving care to others. And that started quite some time ago, and I came to the conclusion that giving care was my best suit. So in 2005, I started out with being a med tech and learning all of the first aid and CPR and things of that nature, and I kept it going. I have my license in passing meds along with giving care, the hours required to be a CNA and a med tech. I currently work throughout the metropolitan area currently with giving care to the elders. I've experienced and I have to deal with the COVID-19 on a daily basis. So then I have to be really careful.
That's about your education.
Yes. So healthcare administration, I have my master's in health.
You got to be proud of that.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Yes. I was always told that this was the best field to go in. So I believe.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I would like to pose to you guys, if you would, do you think about your loved ones your elders that you have at home when you go out and you're dealing with your daily activities and you return home to your loved ones. Do you keep them in mind? Do you try to protect them and try to protect yourself and them as well?
Right, right.
I would like to know, do you keep that in the forefront of your mind when you're out?
Yeah, especially right now, we're still in a pandemic, you know, everybody want to go back to normal. I get it, but we're still in a pandemic. People are still losing their life based on the COVID-19. So that's a great question. So let's hear from some of our audience out here. Somebody has something that they want to share.
This is Linda. I do.
Hi.
Hi. I think you have to think about your loved ones. My mom is 84, about to be 85, and I take her life very serious. Even with my family, for the ones that's not vaccinated, then they don't get to come to the house. You know, if you're not vaccinated, you know, I'm a nurse, and so I educate them on the importance of being vaccinated and also being boosted. If you have the mindset that you don't want to get vaccinated or boosted, then you have pretty much said that you don't want to come over to grandma's house or mom's house or whatever. I don't care who it is. I mean, we're a family that we do everything together. But if you have that mindset that you don't want to be boosted, well, if you don't think about nobody but your, you know, anybody, think about your grandmother.
Right.
You know, think about the babies we have.
Right.
You know, so I'm very strict with that. I'm sorry. I'm very strict with it at church. I'm the health person at church, and I take it very serious. Even in our churches now, I see that we're lax. Excuse me, we are lax at our churches. Our ministers are not wearing masks anymore. You know, I think sometimes you have to be an example for your flock. You know, and yes, I'll be the first one to say, I'm ready to go back to where I used to be. But you know what? Until then, I will wear my mask. I will be boosted. I will be double boosted. I couldn't wait until my great nieces and great nephews was able to get vaccinated at their age of 5. You know, because I wanted to be vaccinated. I can't be around them 24/7. They go to school. I sit in the school sometimes and just kind of observe. You know, kids are blowing their nose, sneezing everywhere. If they're not vaccinated, then what's going to happen?
Right.
Our kids are going to have it.
Right.
You know, and with the RSV, I mean,
yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, Lindsay, because I was going to say something, but you go ahead and say what you're going to say. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, you know, we're taking it so serious now when this has been something that's been going on for, 10 years.
Right.
You know, that it's been there and we haven't had, you know, anything to treat it or anything. And now, because we're on this COVID-19, now anything that occurs, then we're taking it serious now.
Right.
When this should have been, I feel like should have been taken serious 20, 25 years ago.
Right. Right.
You know, and I know that, you know, some of us, and I say some of us, but I'm vaccinated and boosted, is that we have a fear, you know, because some of the things have went on in our past that we scared to take it. You know, I sat on where we educated, you know, our churches and various churches and, you know, and just to listen to our members and other members and the discussions that we had on Zoom of why people don't want to be vaccinated. I was just amazed, you know, by some of the things that people said.
Right.
You know, but, you know, everybody.
But those are fears.
Yes. Yes.
So we have to address them and make people comfortable. Do you agree?
Right. Because, I mean, it's real. If that's a fear, it's real.
It's real.
So it has to be addressed.
Right.
And I think sometimes we lack in addressing because it's like we don't take it, you know, we don't take their fears very serious.
Right. Well, this is very serious. And like I said, there's still loss of life going on here in Nebraska, all over the United States and all over the world. And that's why it's going to take small pockets like this to keep this in front of people and continue to keep them aware and to continue to provide that education, because this was the same problem when we went through with the smallpox. This was the problem when we started getting the flu
and polio
and
the monkeypox.
and all kind of vaccine. But it's going to take people like us that understand. We might not understand the science about it, but we understand the necessity about that and the education about it to continue to do outreach in our community. Thank you so much, Linda. Do we have anybody else that want to share anybody? We have a lot of people on here. There's got to be somebody else that want to share something.
Yeah, quite a few.
My name is Pamela.
Hi,
Hello.
Pam.
Hi. And I have had my vaccination. I've had the first booster, but I haven't had the rest of them. I still wear my mask, and I'm thinking about not going out so much again. I also remember, as you were talking about the flu and other things coming up, I also remember that they had said that in the 2 years that people had to mask up for this, that the flu was virtually not there. So I also mask up for the flu thing also. And I do think about my mom.
Yeah.
And I have grandchildren that I think about also. And I'm really surprised that, you know, masks are not still required, just because we're not through with this yet. And just because of, and I'm wondering if kids shouldn't wear masks just because of this new thing that you're talking about.
RSV.
I don't know much about that, but I think about my grandkids and I call around to ask my children, do they know what's going on with this? And they assure me that they do. So I believe they're taking precautions. But I just believe that in protecting myself, but most importantly, in protecting my mom and other people.
Right.
I just feel it's a courtesy.
It's a courtesy. That's a wonderful word.
You know,
It's a
and just
courtesy. Even if you don't believe in it yourself, you know. Ooh,
just to think about the other person.
Exactly.
You know.
So thank you so much, Pam, for sharing that. I'm going to take one more person. I know we got a group out
I
here.
got something. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Rochelle Holland.
Hi, Rochelle.
Hi. Well, first I would like to say that, well, there's possibly people on here that are not vaccinated. And so I would like to say that being vaccinated and being not vaccinated is your choice, and and be comfortable with the choice that you make for yourself, period. And the other thing is I'm one of those that's had COVID 3+ times.
Oh my goodness.
And it's every once a year like clockwork. I'm not vaccinated or boosted. But yet I take my family very seriously. I'm very cautious when I'm around them. I try my best to keep a social distance from everyone, but it is a scary thing. And I've also had RSV twice.
Oh my goodness.
So I know that with me, the RSV happened once the mask started coming off. I got RSV. So, and then, you know, RSV is one of those things that typically children and elderly people get.
Yes.
And nobody had, and is one of those things that your body over the years kind of like possibly immunes itself to. And I just think that once the mask came off, things that people weren't catching before, yeah, they were catching, you know, possibly because.
Rochelle, let me ask you a question, you know, and you can answer this or not, but you said that you're not vaccinated and you're not boosted. Is it because there's a fear of the vaccination? Is there a reason?
Okay, so I can honestly say after the first time I got it, when the vaccine came out, I considered it. And then one of the things that they were pushing was herd immunity. So basically, you know, trying to get everybody to get it, and your natural antibodies last anywhere from a few months to a year. And so that was kind of like one of the things for me. And I had one of those doctors that's more holistic. And, you know, he was like, hey, you know, unless you get a different strain, you're not going to get the same strain of COVID again unless your antibodies leave. So when they started offering like the antibodies test, which you can get for about $50, I started taking those to see if I still had antibodies built up. So
originally it was a fear that stopped
it. It was never a fear that stopped me. It was kind of like one of those things like, okay, you know, here we have a vaccine. Let's just kind of see how it goes. Because even though it wasn't quite a new thing for this vaccine, it was kind of new because they had to alter it from a point where it was once at. So it wasn't that I was a fear. It was just kind of like with anything that you put into your body, whether you smoke it, drink it, or anything else, you want to be cautious with what you do. So you want to make sure that you're going to be okay if you have this injected.
Right.
So
well, I pray and I hope that you don't get COVID again. Because scientific said it does break down your immune system. It keeps breaking it down.
Yeah.
So, you know, I hope that you continue to stay strong in your decision of not being vaccinated or boosted. But we want to take another caller. There is a CL Wallace that wants to speak. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for recognizing me. Good evening, everyone. So I received the vaccine. Hello?
Hi.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I just thank you for recognizing me. And you know, so I wanted the vaccine as soon as it came out. Me and my mom got vaccinated. My mom has been living with me since 2004. And there was no way, the way that especially people of color and people with pre-existing conditions and people over the age of 55, there was no way in the world that I was going to even consider anyone entering my home or even hesitating on the vaccine. We've all been, anybody in Omaha that went to public school, you were vaccinated. I didn't know what was in those vaccines, and I still don't. I don't know what's in this one, but I know it said to keep me healthy, and I love my mom to life, so I did everything to protect her. And like the nurse said, I didn't let anybody in my house for almost a year because of my mother. I was like, no, and you had to have a mask on, and at first you had to have gloves on too when you came to my house. And so, and if you weren't vaccinated, you could not come in my house. And I said, well, you must not, you know, you must not care about my mother. The Lord bless my mom to see 75 this year. So I want to see 95. So, and I'm
happy birthday.
If there's anything in my power that I could persuade my mom to do or anything like that to keep her here with us, I'm going to do it. And I've been boosted, and I've in 3 weeks I have to be boosted again. So I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how many other people are doctors on here. So we don't know what's in any medicine. So for people to keep saying that, you don't know what's in aspirin. You can read the ingredients all you want, and you still don't know what that is. So, you know, that's not an excuse for me. And I just have to, you know, have faith in God and that God led the scientists to be able to give us something. And obviously everybody on here that has spoken has talked about after the mask came off, what happened. So obviously those masks were helping to protect us. And the vaccine is also doing the same thing for me. I'm speaking for me and mine. So I'm not trying to.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wallace. Also, too, I want to say that we have something with the Supreme Court that is possibly going to mandate masks in public transportation again. But that has not been finalized.
No.
My feelings on that, and I'm not a scientist, I'm thinking the airport is the worst place in the world, is the germiest place in the world, and that's a place that I feel that they should not have taken the masks off. But I'm, you know, who's me? I'm way down here, you know, and I'm not way up there. but people that travel a lot, or if you don't travel a lot, that's a way vaccines can get from one city and one state through our public transportation.
I
And,
believe so. I
you know,
agree.
and that's horrible. So, but anyway, you want to ask us another question?
Yes, I have a
Yeah.
few questions.
Wonderful.
All right. You young mothers that are able to become pregnant, have you ever considered being vaccinated because you are pregnant and to protect your baby?
Oh, that's a good one. All righty. If anybody want to jump in on that one? Now, you don't have to be young to jump in on that one. You can be a grandmother and jump in on that question. All right.
Has anyone ever even thought about that?
No, yeah. So elaborate on that a little bit more.
Looks like we all done having kids by now.
Okay, who wants to say something? I'm sorry. Did I hear? Okay, so elaborate on that.
Well, my little bit of reading and research that I've done on that, and I don't want to give any statistics, but during the pandemic, we lost quite a few babies. Our pregnant mothers, the death rate sort of raised. Another thing to consider, and that I've read, is if the mother gets the vaccination, well, then that passes over to the baby. And then therefore the baby comes in healthier, okay? And then after the baby is here, then we again have that possibility of exposure. So, but up until the child is of an age when they start giving them the vaccinations.
And I want to say this too. We will back anything we say with research. We will, if you want to like give us your email, you can text me that, because we don't want to mislead anyone. So if you.
And then Pam needed more information on the RSV.
Right.
I made a note of that, but.
Right. If she wants us to provide that information to us, she can email me. And we'll provide that information at the end, how we can be contacted for that, because I believe in doing homework. Yes. I don't believe just having these conversations and we can't back it up with research.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, we're master levels and we did our dissertation paper and they all had to have research with credible people to back everything we said in our dissertation paper.
That would have been an F.
That would have been an F, and we didn't get no F. We made it through. So, what our next question?
I want to know if we practice the safety hygiene with our children at home, and when they leave home, do they practice what you teach them in order for them to be safe? Because when kids are around, they get into everything.
And they touch everything. And I'm a mother.
Yes.
I've been,
Yes.
Right.
So do we practice the hand washing with our children and the distancing or the mask wearing, or
do they even have a conversation with the kids?
Or show them the videos? There are a number of videos.
Oh, my free videos everywhere.
Yeah, we can send you videos that you can share with your children, sit down and have a talk about what they think about that. I think that would be great.
Because I'm sure kids hear all of this.
Yeah, and they're confused, because I remember when I was a kid, and if I heard of anything that's having to do with death and dying, and I'm going, oh my God.
Right.
And that's nightmares, So that's something to discuss.
Right. So they'll
understand.
Yes.
So anybody want to jump in?
Yes, this is Linda.
Hi, who is it?
Linda Collins,
Hi,
the health
Linda.
nurse again. Hi.
Okay.
So, we're pushing for you to teach your kid how to wash their hands now. It's something you should have been doing the whole time.
Exactly.
Good point.
I guess that's where I have the issue at. I mean, okay, maybe we're pushing it more now, but that's something that you should have educated your children and your grandchildren and even your grown siblings. If they're not washing their hands, even at school, they teach them to wash their hands and they sing the 20-second song or whatever it is, happy birthday, whatever. You know what I mean? It's something that we should be doing, but a lot of adults can't teach a kid how to wash their hands because they're not washing theirs.
Right.
I'm an observer. I observe everything. Church, home, school, whatever, out at the mall, wherever. And I see a lot of grown people walk right in there and come right out and don't wash their hands and don't do nothing.
I have one. Could I interject and say this one thing? I've also noticed that I've worked with people with Alzheimer's, and so all of these things that they once learned, and then now they're a kid again.
Right.
So
That's a disease.
Those things are lost, and we don't know exactly when the Alzheimer's starts to set in. And then if we notice them, and a lot of times it's too late, and they've ruined taking care of their business because it's an embarrassment somewhat. And I noticed that they would be a high risk to be around and not do the hygiene thing because they don't understand anymore.
Right.
I think also, this is Linda again. Hi. I'm sorry. But my mother-in-law lives with us and she has dementia. And I washes her hands all the time. She doesn't remember, to do the hand hygienes and things like that. But then that's why you have somebody to care for you or somebody that loves you to kind of remind you, because if you have dementia or even if you have Alzheimer's, hopefully someone is there with that individual and that individual is not left by themselves.
Correct.
Who said correct? They want to say something? Well, we do know about the virus. The virus can seep through any crack, any area. And have you noticed or didn't notice that when a person takes a trip to go out of town, like they take what is the one that when they go on the boats,
the cruises,
that they require something to be vaccinated, they come back with COVID?
The majority of the time, yes.
Right, they come back to COVID and then
because
they don't want to
let their guards down, really.
Right, then they want
fun.
Yeah, then they don't want to let the boats in. Yeah. So we just need to recognize that this is a virus that travels and it needs hosts. There have been some scientific, studies done that COVID is getting into animals.
Yes.
Your cats, your dogs.
Yes.
Type of deal.
Yes. We kiss them and we hug them.
We kiss them and we hug them, So, but anyway, the flu season is here. The flu season is here. And so, how many of us have gotten the flu shot? How many of us believe in the flu shot? Because it is a vaccine.
Yes.
And let's talk just a little conversation about that. But before we do that, to Ms. Wallace, you want to say something?
No, I was just saying about, first of all, I got my flu shot 3 weeks ago.
Perfect.
I've been getting it for 10 years. Now. So it's just, it's something that I ritualistically do. And, my grandmother taught us, anytime you come in the house, you wash your hands. That's something. So, and we teach any kids that come in my house, anybody that come in the house, if they walk, you have to walk through my kitchen and get to any other place other than the living room. So as soon as you hit towards the kitchen, wash your hands. Even if they didn't get so used to it, but it's just repetition creates consistency. So anytime you do anything, if you're repetitious in doing something, and we just have to pass that stuff on. It's that we can't. It's not that we can't, because that's not all we're doing is verbally saying something and initiating the action. So we can teach children how to correctly come in and wash their hands when they leave out, and wash their hands when you come in the house, wash your hands. So that's all I wanted to say.
Right, and thank you so much for that, Ms. Wallace. But I want to say this too. Education and communication is power, and don't be shy or embarrassed if you do not know something. You need to ask. And hopefully, when you ask the question, you're asking it to somebody that has experience and not trying to ask it. I hate to say, sometimes social media will sway you all kind of different direction. but hopefully you're asking the question to somebody that has experience that can help you navigate through things. And I think that's where we lost a lot of that. People being able to ask the question and not feeling embarrassed about things, and they're not understanding that there is somebody out there. It's either your healthcare provider, your doctor, you know, someone maybe within your church, because a lot of churches have the medical person in their church, or someone at your kid's school.
And reputable radio stations or reputable channels, reputable peer-reviewed magazine articles, and doctors, you know, because they have to stake their reputation on the line,
right,
in order to give you that information.
Right. We have another question now. Who is this from? Oh, okay. Griffey, hi. What you at? Maydi Griffey?
Yes, I'm here. Hi. Hi. So there was a lot of things said and I was trying to jump in, but you know, I just wanted to be respectful. But so I know you guys said a lot of things like about the cruise and like all these different things. I think sometimes it is hard because there's so many different things that are coming out, like RSV and just different things like that. And I know someone had made a comment like a lot of this stuff has been out, but it's just hitting hard. So I cruise all the time, and I took that chance and I went on a cruise. And at first they were struggling with it. We had to be vaccinated. 1 minute we didn't, just different things like that. We had to have cards. I actually went on a cruise and I came back fine. I was vaccinated and everything. When I came back home and I was vaccinated and everything, and I struggled with it. I really struggled with it. And it was like, man, I'm really getting this shot because I want to go on this cruise. Like, I'm crazy, you know, but I'm like, I would just do it. And so I did that and I came back home. I was fine. I got tested. I did all of that. And I got COVID and I was fully vaccinated. So it's just like, I think, like, even though the research and everything is out there, I think it's still sometimes nerve-wracking because it's like you dang if you do and you dang if you don't sometimes. I also have known families where they were all vaccinated in the home, but unfortunately grandma got it and didn't make it. You know what I mean? So
so sorry to hear that. Yeah.
So I just think it's just like difficult. And even with the kids washing your hands, my son is 6. He's in 1st grade. And I believe in washing your hands. When you come home, you take your shoes off and you get straight in the tub. Like, that's me. But at the same time, when he's at school, I can't watch him every second of the day. How many times do we see our kids do something and put their hands in their mouths? You know what I mean? We can tell them to wash their hands all day long, but at the end of the day, they're still kids. My kid, he had an ear infection and RSV at the same time, you know what I mean? But even though I'm the type of mom that's like, wash your hands, wash your face, let's throw the whole kid in the tub, let's do all of that. But unfortunately, I can't, when he's at school, I can't watch him every second of the day. I just can't. When he's on that playground, you know, playing on that stuff, I hate the playground. But when he's being a kid and on that playground and putting his hands in his mouth, I wish I could be there, but I can't.
Right.
As many times as I tell him, I've taught my son hygiene since he could pretty much walk. My son was musty at 2. So, you know, I had to teach him hygiene real quick, but we can't always be there every second of the day, you know, especially when our kids are in school. We just hope that when we teach them, they, you know, take that with them, but they're 6 or they're 5 or whatever, you know what I mean? They're still trying to be kids.
Can I ask you a question, Maydi Griffey?
Yes.
Okay, even so, you got vaccinated and you still got COVID, and a lot of people do. Have you ever thought about the fact that it could have been worse than it was? Or
Yeah, I absolutely thought about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I felt
Yeah.
like, you know what, honestly,
did
the
you
first time
feel
I
like
had,
you got any protection at all, just a little bit, or it was just, you know, a waste?
To me, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of felt like it was a waste. The only difference was the first time I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I was gonna die, ain't gonna lie to y'all, I did. The second time, I just didn't move. You know, so that was different. Where the first time I would have spurts of energy and I wasn't vaccinated, but I would have spurts of energy. I would get up, take a shower, be fine, and then I would just be out. And then the second time I just laid on my couch for 2 weeks. I didn't move. So it was just like different effects. You know what I mean? So I understand why we get vaccinated. I understand that, you know, it can definitely save us from the symptoms being worse. But I also think too, that was difficult because at first it was like, oh, you know, you won't get it at all. And then it's like, oh, well, you will get it, but the symptoms won't be as bad. So I just think, you know, it is up to you in what you want to do. And I know some people don't want to hear that, you know, and it is, you know what I mean? And I understand some people don't want to hear that and they believe you just should be vaccinated.
Some sicknesses linger on, and you still have some lingering effects of sickness. You know, I'm not going to ask you that, but
well, yeah, I have lingering effects from it, but once again, I was vaccinated, you know, when I got it again, and my lingering effects were just as bad as the first time. So I think, you know, but that was my experience. You know, everybody's experience is different. And, you know, if you're vaccinated, I think it's great. You know, if you're not, that's your decision. But I definitely was vaccinated. I just think my experience was different.
And
So,
you know, I'm going to say that's why we're having this conversation, because everybody experience with COVID-19 has been different. But until we have these conversations to find out these differences, we won't know. We won't understand why there's people that are refused, that don't want to get the vaccination for whatever their reasons are, or have gotten vaccinated and boosted and got COVID and like mad because, oh my God, I got this stuff in my system, this vaccine and this boosted, but I got COVID anyway. Not understanding that possibility that
you're going to get it.
Yeah, right. But then also too, it could have been worse if you wasn't.
And you could be gone.
Yes, because people are still dying today as we speak right now.
Yes.
And that's the unfortunate situation.
And you were lucky.
So
I feel,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, I don't want to tell the stories of people that have shared with me, because I would like for them to tell their own stories.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of stories with people that have got COVID that did not have no pre-existing ailments and things in COVID. They say COVID brought it out. When they got COVID, it brought it out.
And one thing was to keep moving and not give up. You know, you had to
fight through it. You had to push through it. You had to push through it, you know. So let's ask this. We talked about the flu. We talked about COVID-19. Let's talk about the community. You know, let's talk about our efforts in being leaders and providing the education and the information out to the community, in your neighborhood, in your churches, even if the person has their own opinion, you know, to take the vaccine or the boosted or not. Because at the end of the day, when people are still dying, I think that we have a duty to continue to educate and inform and provide the best information that we possibly can.
And can I add, make choices.
Yeah.
You can choose not to go into this restaurant. You can choose not to go into the store because they're not, you know,
Don't
to
pass
your
out the mask. Right,
satisfaction.
right.
They don't have their food covered and everything is exposed. You can make decisions as well that has a lot to do with your health. I mean, you don't have to go along with, well, everybody else is doing it. No.
Yeah, right. And that's, you know, and I know it's hard.
Yeah.
It's been hard on everybody. I mean, especially when it first started, you know, when our loved ones was in facilities and you couldn't go, couldn't go see them. And all we could rely on is media to show us those pictures. And I'm sure people saw the pictures when their loved ones was in nursing homes. They were outside in lawn chairs just to be able to communicate with them. We hope we don't go backwards. You know, we're praying that we don't go backwards. But like I said, communication and information is powerful. And we have a duty, you know, to provide that information to the best of our ability, you know, to help people to understand what is going on, to know, so they will know that there are people out there that really do care and that they can ask a question. There's no dumb question right now. That's what I was saying when I said earlier, as it's open, there's no right or wrong answer. But we need to have these discussions and these conversations. Does anybody want to say anything?
My song, but play it back like
The drawback for the thing that makes it hard for people who have basically been educated on the subject and is relying on the science is that there are so many conspiracy theories and the internet. People just, I mean, I just cannot believe. I mean, some people, my friends, are just that are educated, and I'm just like, why are you cannot just believe everything because it's on the internet. I can go start a whole new rumor on the internet, get a couple of people tagged in on it, and then it can just go viral. But that really puts people at a disadvantage that's trying to get it out there. And but I just want to let everybody know, just, and I'm sure everybody on here knows, but the internet is not the thesaurus for medical. Check with medical, your doctors, check with, you can go to medical sites, real medical sites, and look up information, but there are so many conspiracy theories, and the virus has gotten political and everything. So that's why talk to your doctor. Your doctor is going to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah,
So,
social media is just entertainment, a laugh most times.
Let's talk about, you know, we read something. And you shared that with me about the article that we saw that COVID is Pfizer has did it. They are going to go up 400% of what they have been charging the government for everybody to get free vaccine or boosted. 400%. You provided that information. Then on top of that, they talk about one day this might
coming year,
yeah,
they're gonna,
the
government is no longer gonna pay for it.
Yeah, and we don't know exactly when that was, so we don't want to say no date or time. But basically the bottom line is that they are having that conversation that the vaccine might not be free.
There's going to be a fee.
There's going to be a fee.
Pfizer.
And so, you know, what community is that's going to hurt? Poor people, people of color, you know. So let's talk about that.
And our president mentioned to please get your vaccine at least before, well, it was Halloween, so now it's Thanksgiving, because that's when families come together and those numbers are going to raise. They're going to be high.
Anytime you have major holidays and people are traveling, that's what I said, the public transportation, I would have never have made it so relaxed when it comes to the airport. But you know, I'm a little person down here. And that's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
But let's have that conversation about that being a cost, you know, a fee or whatever, you know, type of deal. Is your insurance going to cover it?
What about the uninsured?
What about the uninsured? And you know, that is a big issue. right now, you know, and a lot of that uninsured is at age, they reach 19 and they trying to find themselves till they get 40, you know, in their careers.
Because they feel like they're Superman and Superwoman.
Their jobs
sometimes,
don't
and-
offer insurance.
No.
You know, type of deal, a lot of situation. That's why you have a lot of that uninsured population of that age, because the jobs that they get are not the jobs that offer health insurance.
That's like agencies. A lot of them
Yeah.
don't offer health insurance.
You don't have to be agency, you could be working at, you could work at any type of facilities. I don't want to point
Calling
the
it-
business. We don't want to call the names of the business, but the bottom line is that that's going to be a big problem out in the community if they start charging the public for the vaccine.
That the
And-
government now pays.
And that the government now pays, but it appears that those pharmaceuticals are gonna go up to the government almost 400%. That was in the paper. I can give you the information on that if anybody like to see. That was not, I'm not saying this out the top of my head. I read that in a credible article of that. And if you can Google that, you can Google some information if Pfizer, the vaccine is planning to go up, and you'll get that information up there. I mean,
Gayla,
how did anybody feel about that?
Gayla, this is Linda Collins again.
Hi.
Well, I do a lot of homeless, work with a lot of homeless too. And, you know, we would go down there, you know, and offer them their shots and things like that. What's going to happen when they stop it? And these people can't get it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have insurance. They don't even have a place to live.
Yeah.
You know, now you want them to decide, and even with the elderly, you want them to decide, we're trying to decide now, see, do I get my food? Do I buy my medicine? Or what do I do? Now we're going to give them a third option, because now I can't take care of my health because I can't no longer get the vaccine or the booster, any of that.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and we know that it affects more in our community than any other community.
Right.
And if you look at the data that Douglas County put out, because I look at the data constantly on a daily basis, you know, and it is our area that is lacking in it.
Right. Right. So
And it's just going to increase.
do you
the
have any
government
thoughts on just your personal solution because you work with that population?
Well, you know, and what we, like I said, and what I continue to do is continue to educate.
Yes. Yes.
Educate. I don't care, hear it is. Educate. Even at church, when we do our announcements, you know, we're on Zoom, we're on Facebook, we're on all that. Take every opportunity that you can to educate. Now, once you educate, then that's their decision.
Right.
Because that's a decision that, you know, each one of us has to make.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, you can't force anybody to do anything, but you can educate them.
Right. So, oh my gosh, where did the time come? It's what, 7:58? 7:58 now?
Wow.
7:59 now?
Oh.
So it's 8:30. Okay, 8:30. So we have about a half an hour. And you know, and we can close a little early, but I just want to make sure that we are addressing those concerns out in the community. Now, I want to open up, does anybody want to ask the audience a question? Anybody want to say anything? Because there's no dumb question, no dumb answer. So does anybody want to ask a question to the audience? Maybe something had happened in their life with this situation, with their family member, and they were maybe misled or had the runarounds of trying to get information. Now, I will say this, there's still COVID money out there for help, and we need to spread that. There is still money that agencies have to pay your rent, to pay your utilities, and the community needs to know that. Even though we're not talking about it like we should, our politicians need to put that in front, because people are still losing their jobs, basically can come back for COVID, still need help with rent assisting, still need help with their utilities. And there's still money out there available. And if people want me to give them that information as a resource, you have to email me and we will give you those resources. Now, we don't have the control of how their process goes, but we know that there's still some funding out there available. And I want people to be able to know their options and to be able to take advantage of those. So you want to ask another question?
Well, I want to be a little devilish. Do we have any any underage ears around? So socializing and getting under the influence and dropping your guards, you know, sex and COVID. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's a big one.
I mean,
right.
It's still going on.
Right.
People still socialize, they get under the influence and they drop their guards.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I do, any place I go to, I do wear my mask. It doesn't matter where I go to, any public place I go to, I wear my mask. And so in the past year, you know, after the first year of COVID, probably about 18 months after 15, 18 months, I started going back out dining and things like that. So of course, when you eat, and I just think that it's like, you know, you have to take your mask off. And I'm like, so really, I'm just in there with the mask off because there's no protection for me because I'm eating, you know, and then when I leave, I put my mask on before I leave. I'm like, okay, I've been sitting in a whole restaurant for an hour, you know, dining and stuff. And so, and I do like to dine out, but I don't dine out. I changed my eating habits a lot over the past few months, but I don't dine out as much as I used to. But that is something. And I still, you know, and I still said, look, it seems like it's a double standard what I'm doing because I still have my mask off in a public place.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think right now is that if you're vaccinated or boosted, if you're not vaccinated or boosted, social distancing and wearing your mask is going to be the best bet for everybody. That's the least we can do. You know, if you don't want to be vaccinated, you know, type of deal. Or you in a group setting and you're not able to social distance or to take a home test or a type of test like me and Yvonne did before the show. You know, so wear your mask. You know, back in where China, they've been wearing masks forever. That's part of their culture, to wearing masks. So that's why it was so easy for them to adjust to wearing masks, because that's what they do. It has something to do with their environmental. I don't know all the details, but they've been wearing masks forever. So I'm hoping that in the United States, that doesn't come to, but for now, that's the way it is. And that's the way it looks like. And unfortunately, I don't want to get COVID. I'm sure you don't want to get COVID. And if you had COVID before, I'm sure you don't want to get it again, even if you're not true to yourself on the symptoms. The symptoms are real. And it's like anything. If you keep getting it over and over and over and over again, it's going to break your immune system down.
And just sort of rethink to yourself what avenues you take or what you should add to your guards, you know. That's something else to think about.
Right.
Because I've been places where we have to sanitize. And then you have some people that, you know, they want to take the lazy way of doing it, not realizing that not only are they sanitizing for others, they're sanitizing for themselves as well.
Right, especially when they go down to our public places. Remember back when COVID was really big. You go in the shopping centers, the supermarkets, you had people wiping down the carts that you get. You don't see that anymore. You don't even see where they have it available for you to be able to do it anymore. So you're like, oh my goodness, should I wear my gloves in here? Because what do they say about RSV? What do they say how they contract RSV, how they contract the flu, how they contract COVID? You know, and a lot of
little tiny
touching something. Somebody touched it, they sick, and you touched it right behind it. So it's just, we're in a time that's right now is going to be our new norm. And so we're going to have to figure out how we can adjust to our new norm and to be comfortable within our skin so we can continue our lives and continue our lives without fear. Because as we do know, if you get COVID, sometimes you're pre-existing, you might not even know about it. And so we don't want that to ever happen. And we're all about humanity. We're all about trying to save one life. So we need everybody out there to empower other people, empower parents, and help them to empower their children, to help them to understand about having good hygiene practice. That's about the least we can do at this point, and helping people to understand that there's still loss of life out there based on this virus. So I think we can end it right there unless somebody wants to have some question. I want to say this too. We're going to have another VIP empowering parents workshop Zoom next Wednesday. And so if anybody out there knows anybody that wants to attend that, everybody got or has my phone number. They can text me, yes, and I'll make sure that they'll get the registration and the Zoom link. Now, I want to say too out there, is anybody out there not register? If you didn't register for the Zoom link, please register. You still have time to register, because this is what I'm going to use in regards to being a VIP parent for our Toys for Tot event. So please register out there. Even if somebody's in there with a couple of people on the Zoom call and it's only showing one person's name, register them, register yourself with your phone number, because it's going to be important that I know that you attend this Zoom, because I won't know if you have somebody sitting next to you. Okay. All right. Do we have anything that anybody want to share before we close this? You want to share something, Ms. Sherry, before we close?
Excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Hello? I would just like to say that whether you are vaccinated or not, to always just keep everything in prayer.
Yeah.
Just cover yourself, cover your family, put on that blood, just put it all over so that God can take care of you.
Yeah. Well, that's a good closing remark, Miss Pam. So we're going to close it on that night. Do you want to say anything?
No.
All right. Well, Miss Pam closes up. But go ahead.
I just wanted to say, please, everybody vote. If you're not registered, get registered. Please vote. I know it's off topic, but please vote.
Amen.
Thank you so much. The power is in the vote. One vote can make a difference. Just remember that. All right. God bless everybody. I want you to thank you. We have another Zoom meeting next week, Wednesday.